Hey you guys, it's Tia from That's What She Fed, and wow, I have a lot to tell you. I haven't updated you recently, and so much has happened, which honestly is part of the reason why I haven't been able to get this video out. I have been so busy. I don't sit anymore, you guys. The farm is full-blown happening now. It is up and running, and I don't stop running all day long, but I love it. I am on cloud 9. This is my heaven. So I finally put this sign up. I've been looking for a good place for this sign that my sister and my brother-in-law got me for Christmas, and I absolutely love the spot that I finally picked. And as you can see, we have stuff growing on the cinder blocks there, and Rose is, thank goodness, not being broody at this moment. We've been struggling with that, so let's just hope it stays that way. I did have to pull her out this morning, so keep our fingers crossed. And for those of you that don't know, broody just means that they want to have babies. Not all chickens go broody. Some breeds are even more inclined than others, which Nakey there, I can never point when I'm doing this. There she is. There's Nakey, the black one with the naked neck. Her breed is actually more inclined to go broody, and also Rose's, our orange one right there, is more inclined to go broody too. But so what they do is they sit on their eggs and they refuse to move until the babies hatch. The problem is they don't have a rooster in there, so those eggs aren't going to hatch. A lot of people actually get confused about how basically the reproduction of chickens. I mean, I think it's something not a lot of people think about, and then when they do, it's kind of confusing. So every chicken lays eggs. All female chickens lay eggs, but unless they're fertilized, they're not going to hatch. So, and eating fertilized eggs is okay because they're not going to grow into anything unless they're kept warm. And how that happens is when the mama chicken starts sitting on them. So, some chickens never go broody. Others go broody all the time. Usually the heat causes them to want to sit on their eggs. And so that's why lowering their body temperature helps to break the broody. And that's not been working for Rose though. I've been giving her cold baths, and she's actually just been sitting in the bath as if it's refreshing. So I think it's just been hot here and she's been enjoying it, if anything. So the cold baths haven't been working for us yet. But yes, so basically what she does is she sits inside the nesting box and will not get up off those eggs. She's hardly eating, hardly drinking, which, you know, they can survive it, but man, when there's nothing that's gonna hatch, it just seems like torture. And so I keep pulling her off, and I pull the eggs out, because as long as you leave eggs in there, then they have something to sit on. But I've been catching her in there without any eggs either, and I'm like, what do you think you're sitting here for? There's nothing underneath you. So anyways, so we're just gonna keep trying. I want her to take care of herself and eat and drink since there's no babies that are possible. I did consider putting fertilized eggs under her, or you can even sneak some little baby chicks under them at nighttime so they think that the eggs hatched. I did consider that, but since I'm not 100% sure if we have scaly lake mites anymore, we've been treating for weeks now, I just didn't want to risk it. So we're gonna hold off for now, although I do want to see her be a mama. I think she'd be amazing. So this is what my chicken garden is looking like at the moment. You can tell everything is leaning towards the sunshine. There's not as much sunshine over here, which I was very curious how well it would grow because of that. They want that sunshine, but the sunflower's doing pretty darn good. And we got cucumber over here. I did finally go through and weed out a bunch of extra seedlings. The garlic has been growing like crazy. I've been just like ripping off little pieces of this and then just feeding it to the ladies. It's great for their immune system. Humans too eat garlic. So yes, I had to go through and weed out some seedlings. I think something ate my lettuce right there. That had a bunch of lettuce in it. So somebody is out here eating my stuff. But I always hate weeding out the seedlings. You know, you plant a whole bunch of seeds just to make sure something sprouts, and then when all of them sprout, you have to weed them out and only leave one or two, and I'm just, oh, it breaks my heart. I'm like, who am I to decide who lives or dies? Oh, I think this might be my cilantro. What do you guys think? These are my cucamelons. Oh, I can't wait for those to grow. I hope they do well. And now for the big announcement. To me, it feels big. All those videos I did showing you guys how to make the raised garden beds out of pallets, well, they're all right here, and I love them. They turned out great, but, you know, I was planning how to fill them, and I was thinking, oh, I can use mulch and sticks and do more of a hugelkultur method where you do like the logs and you just keep piling stuff up on it. But then I was concerned that it would attract termites, and I don't want that. And apparently termites are worse in the south. So from there, when I called to get dirt, the guy who was selling it to me, he was so nice. He helped me out with a lot. And he was just like, you know, it'd be cheaper if you only went 9 inches deep in those garden beds. And I'm like, well, I wanted to go all the way. I didn't want, I don't know, I felt like the sun wouldn't be able to get to it if it wasn't filled all the way up, and I liked the idea of having them really deep. And he's like, you only need 9 inches for your garden and it'll be cheaper. And I'm like, oh man. And then I told him about the hugelkultur method and how maybe I could put some wood chips in there, and he's like, yeah, that'll attract termites. And then I'm like, well, shoot. He's like, you're not from here, are you? You don't have an accent. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I'm not from here either, and there's 2 things I'm going to tell you. You need to spray for termites and you need to spray for spiders. So I'm like, well, shoot. So, or treat for termites and spray for spiders. So then I started getting really paranoid, and I started thinking, you know, these are made out of wood, and I might be being too paranoid, possibly, but I think I decided to just bail on the wooden garden bed idea and go back to an idea that I originally had before we even moved on to our land, and that was cinder blocks. We had a whole bunch of extra cinder blocks from our house being put on our land, and that was my original plan, but I didn't think I'd have enough to double them up, and I thought I would need that much. Well, it turns out a cinder block is 8 inches tall, and then I started doing more research, and 8 inches should be enough, and I need to not be so scared of the clay that is underneath. It's not concrete, it is still a form of dirt, you know, and things can grow in it. So I decided to just take a chance and plant my garden on top of the clay area with the cinder blocks, and I didn't double them up, and I am excited to show you what it looks like. So here you go. This is the garden. I did it in a U shape because I wanted to be able to have a big garden but use the least amount of soil, but be able to reach everything. So I figured if I was inside that U, then I can reach from the inside here and there and here, and then I can come around the outside. And then I put the cattle panels there and made that beautiful peak. So excited to see everything growing on it. And when I did that, I realized now I can't get into my garden from the insides, but it's still not so bad. I can reach. And we have our pool there and a pool for the dogs. And over here I still have my blackberry bush and blueberries and grapevine and other potted stuff that I planted that I do need to transplant. And you can see the mud around here. Oh my goodness, lots of mud. I actually did this on the worst week possible. We had had dry weather leading up to this, and then all of a sudden I decided I was going to do the cinder blocks. I got this built, I ordered the dirt, and it was raining, and it rained for an entire week. And I built this cinder block garden, all these cinder blocks, in the pouring down rain. When my dirt got delivered, it was raining. The truck put deep grooves in our yard, you know, as it sunk into the mud. And when I say mud, I mean clay. So it was just, oh my goodness. And then getting my wheelbarrow through all of that was a disaster. once it got filled with the dirt, it was so heavy that it just started sinking into the clay, the wet clay mud, and the wheels weren't even turning. So I was shoving the wheelbarrow and the wheels weren't even turning. I was just dragging it through this thick mud where it was getting suction cupped. I just need you guys to know how miserable it was, okay? This garden is a work of art. And it cost me my blood, sweat, and tears. It was so painful, and I love it. I'm so in love with it, and I can't wait for things to start growing up on the cattle panels there, and I'll give you a little tour of what I've planted. So over here is almost entirely flowers. This entire section here. Now, I think I told you guys about our tradition. My mom, my aunt, and I, every year we give each other secret seeds. I got the idea from a Winnie the Pooh book, and it is a fun tradition. A lot of times we'll plant the seed for each other, but since I'm down here, we just sent them through the mail, and you don't tell them what the seed is. You just tell them how to care for it and what its requirements will be. And then you plant it. So basically this entire corner here is secret seeds from my mom and my aunt. And then that way I planted all zinnias. So as you can see, there are way too many zinnias there. They need to be about 12 inches apart. And so that is a lot of zinnias that I am going to have to remove, and that breaks my heart. I hate it. I hate it so much. So, to be continued. But in the cinder blocks here are my cucamelons, and I'm starting to wonder, usually the cucurbit family don't like to have small contained areas like that cinder block, but I did read that cucamelons can grow inside hanging baskets, so I figured if they can do that, then maybe they can handle a cinder block, hopefully. I am considering transplanting one just to be sure. So, and I'm also hoping I'm getting enough sun over here. I think I'm getting like the minimum amount of sun that you can get away with. And this is my broccoli right here. And in the cinder blocks all around these edges, going all the way around, I planted all the herbs from the Nature's Edge herb mix seed packet. So that's what most of those are. I planted every single one of the herbs, but I also planted mint plant that I purchased because I didn't have any seeds for it, and I planted strawberries. I transplanted those from a hanging basket that I had when we lived in the camper. And so over here is basically salad, you know, lettuce, kale, chard, spinach, all of those. And then we've got kind of, let's see, I'm trying to remember what I planted this way. I'm seeing radishes and chives over there. That's a strawberry. And then I think it's just more lettuces and stuff. And then I'm seeing a lot of what I think might be weeds, which is terrifying. But I also did like spread a lot of seeds. I got pretty crazy with it. So this garden's gonna be a crowded mess, by the way. I just can't. I'm so bad at this. I've been gardening for like 8 years now, and I still underestimate everything. I'm like, but it's so tiny. Like, you see that birdhouse squash right there? It was half that size when I transplanted it, and I'm like, you know, it's probably gonna take up that entire cattle panel, width-wise and height-wise. And it's and I planted another vining cucurbit. I don't know what that is. I don't know. It might be the same thing, a birdhouse squash, or I'm hoping it's a sweetmeat squash. We'll see. But they're probably not going to both fit on there. It's going to be so crowded. But I'm just like, look how tiny it is. How could it not fit? Of course it'll be fine. I'm a little bit too optimistic sometimes. So these are the peppers my son planted. He mixed all the spicy peppers and then just put them all in his little greenhouse container. So we have no idea which peppers those are. So that is just going to be a trial and error, a taste testing, if you will. Yikes. I don't think I can do it. And then these ones are my sweet peppers. Something interesting about this, now that these two are growing side by side, if they get pollinated with each other, then I keep the seeds from one of these. If I keep a seed from the sweet pepper, it could end up being spicy. It could be like a sweet pepper, but be spicy because it cross-pollinated. So that's something to be careful of if you keep your seeds, knowing what they grew next to. Anything that's related, you know, sometimes they can cross-pollinate like that and it can be dangerous. You think you're biting into a bell pepper and it ends up being like a jalapeno or something. So these are my peppers, and then you can see all those little things that look like weeds. That's all basil. I threw basil and onions in there all over the place because they're good companion plants for the peppers and tomatoes. Which brings me to my tomatoes. So I have all the different kinds of tomatoes that I had planted. I'm excited for the yellow pear tomato. Never had one of those before. And the sun gold and the cherry tomatoes are my absolute favorite. Our whole family just loves them. So here we have the zucchinis and some radishes growing around it. The radishes help with pests and insects that like to get into your zucchinis. So I planted those. I actually planted the radishes around all of my cucurbits. Cucurbits are like, you know, your squashes, your pumpkins, cucumbers, even watermelon fits into that family. So, and then this way, I totally cramped this area too, but we won't know for a few years how cramped it truly is. So I planted asparagus here and rhubarb over here, and then nasturtiums because those are great companion plants, and my second favorite flower in this world. My first favorite is the sunflower, but nasturtiums are beautiful and edible. And I had read that they taste like pepper, and I expected like black pepper. No, they taste kind of like a bell pepper, you know, like a sweet pepper type flavoring. You just have to try it. It's beautiful in salads and it tastes great. So I just love it. And then I even planted some strawberries over here in these cinder blocks. I don't know if you can see my fencing. That's one of the poles right there, but it's just netting. It's deer netting. I want to make sure that the deer don't just come and wipe me out overnight. So, and then we put the pool in the fenced-in area too to make sure our dog, who loves water, doesn't pop our pool. But what's great is I can empty the pool into my garden now, so no wasted water around here. And then of course we have the little kiddie pool for our dog who loves the water. When he's being supervised, he can come in and have his own little pool, so he's not trying to get into ours. I gave them some mint earlier, but looks like they might have left it. Turkeys. Yeah, that'll cool you down a little bit, huh? We have a heat index of about 105 degrees today, so I'm trying to cool these ladies down with a cold cucumber from the fridge. Let's see what the little baby chicks think. This is our new flock. What do you guys think? You want to try it? You want to try cucumber? This brave one you see here is Hennifer. And that is our little rooster, Ammo. That little one. He's gonna stay really tiny. He's a little sea bright. Here you go. Oh goodness. What do you guys think? What do you think, Ammo? No? Too scary? Hi, Hennifer. And of course I just poured them some fresh grit. Grit is basically just rocks. Anytime you're giving them anything other than their pellets, you definitely need to give them grit so that they can digest. So ignore this recent development. I ran into a door when a bee crashed into the back of my neck. So that's embarrassing. Anyways, this is only part one of a lot that we've accomplished. I'm so proud of everything we've done, and I can't wait to show you guys the rest. So stay tuned, and always, God bless.